All right, good afternoon. This is Hatim Hussein again. This is just a makeup for what we missed last week. And there's a couple of things that I would like to cover here. The first one is to look at this configuration here. So as you can see, we have these routers. We have a New York router, have the IP address on the New York side. We have the ISP router, and we have the Washington DC router. These routers are already configured, and the configuration is there. So what I'm trying to cover today is to introduce you to a new security concept that's very important here. The first one is how to create a VLAN. VLAN stands for Virtual Private Network, and this is basically a network built on switches. So as you can see here in the Washington DC, we're going to add a switch. So we're going to add this switch over here. This is a 2960. The switch is going to be connected to this router here. So we connect the switch to the router using a gigabit 0/0 interface. And it doesn't really matter which port you use on the switch. We're just going to go and use the last port 24. We're going to connect it to gig 0/0. Okay, so the idea here is on the switch we're going to build two different networks. Network for the human resource department and a network for the sales department. So this, even though we have a single switch, we can split the switch into multiple LANs, right? So we're going to add a server here, and we're going to add another server there. So the way this works, we're going to create two different VLANs. So the switch, it has 24 ports. So we're going to call this Virtual Private Network VLAN 10. And that is going to be using port Fast Ethernet 0/1 to Fast Ethernet 0/10. So these 10 ports can be used by the let's say the HR department. Okay, and then we're going to use another VLAN 20, and VLAN 20 is going to be used by completely different department. It's going to be used by the sales department. And it's going to be using port 11 to 20. So doing that, it's going to bring the network into two different subnets. So we're going to connect the server to the first port on the switch, port 1. And we're going to connect this server to another port, which is port 11. So we want to make sure that they are in two different VLAN settings. On the right hand side here, we don't have VLANs, we just have a flat switch. And we have a bunch of computers connected to the switch there. We're going to have a couple of PCs and a couple of laptops. One desktop and one laptop. And then we're going to have a server as well. All right, so we're going to connect the servers to the network. We're going to reference port for the device. So each one of these devices will be a switch. And on this side of the network, we're going to use a DHCP server, dynamic host configuration protocol, on the router. So the router will be the DHCP server that assigns IP address to computers on the subnet. Yeah, that's good. So let's go ahead and work on the VLAN side. So as you can see, the router, you look at the router configuration, you see show IP to. So I already built the two sub-interfaces on the router, one for VLAN 10 and one for VLAN 20. So we're going to build the VLANs on the switch. So the idea is no IP interface is brief. As you can see, we have 24 ports on the switch. First 10 ports will be assigned to VLAN 10, and that is for the human resource department, right? And VLAN 11, port 11 to port 20 are going to be used by the second department, the sales department. So even though these are plugged into the same switch, but they're going to be in two different IP networks. So now, this server here, you can just put an IP address on the server, 192.168, 10.100, and the second server will be 192.168.20. So we can put an actual IP address on the server. We can go to the desktop, put an IP address here, 192.168.100. Then we have 192.168.1. We do the same thing for the second server. 192.168.20. Let's see if we can ping right now on the server to the router. IP config ping 192.168.100. Ping that, and we should be able to ping on the second server as well. Alright? So now, let's see if we can ping across the network. Let's ping to this router here on the server. And we ping 192.168. Okay, that one. There that one is on the router here. This IP address is right here on the router. We can't ping it. The reason we can't ping it because the VLANs is not configured yet. The switch doesn't recognize these as VLANs. So the way you configure the VLANs is config key hostname DC switch. Okay. Then we can do show VLAN. As you can see, we have one VLAN, which is the default VLAN, and all the ports on the switch are on that VLAN. So we're going to take the first 10 ports and put them in VLAN 10, that's 10, and take the second 10 ports and put them in VLAN 20. So to create a VLAN, you just config the VLAN 10. Then we're going to say name, let's call it HR VLAN. Alright, then second VLAN, VLAN 20, name sales. Now let's take a look. Show VLAN. Now we see the two VLAN we just created. Like right now, these VLAN don't have any port assigned to them, right? So we need to assign the first 10 port for VLAN 10, the second 10 port for VLAN 20. The way you do this, you config the interface range as a command as Ethernet 0/1 to 10. So these 10 ports are going to be configured as switch port, mode access, and then switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, that's how we do it. So then we do the second set of ranges, 11, 20, that's each port mode access, each port VLAN 20. Okay, and we do show VLAN. Now we see that, we see VLAN 10, it's already populated with 10 ports, VLAN 20, we also have 10 ports, right? So now the last thing we need to configure this port here for the trunk port. Trunk. So this trunk port connects the VLAN to the network. So config the switch port interface as is V0/24. That is a port, that is the trunk port. Switch port node trunk, right? Then switch port trunk allow VLAN 10 and 20. This is the security part. We only want to allow this to VLAN to traverse from the switch. So now you can take a look at the configuration we show run switch, and we see that port 1 is in VLAN 10, port 10, 2 in VLAN 10, and go all the way to the end, right there, port 20, all these in 20, then we have the trunk port right there. Okay, so now let's see if we can ping across the network. So this guy now should be able to ping. Well, now we can ping. We can ping from the router to the network over here. Alright, so this is the trunking, everything is working, the router is happy, everything is happy here. So now we can configure the DHCP server on the network. DHCP server is basically, you want to automate the IP assignment process. We want the router to be like the DHCP server, assigning IP address for the computers on the network. Instead, of us doing the configuration manually. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the router. Let's remove this completely.
Unknown caller.
We want to configure the router as a DHCP server. Config D. Then IP DHCP question mark. We see two options. One of them is pool. Then we're going to configure an address pool where the IP address can be assigned from. We'll call it net.
Unknown caller.
So that is address pool. Then what do you put inside the address pool? Question mark. I have to configure the default. We have to configure the network, right? Network. This is the network we're going to use. 192.168.30.0. 2.5 as a network. Then we're going to configure the default gateway, which is going to be 192.168.30.1. Then we'll configure the DNS server. Then DNS server IP is going to be 192.168.30.100. We'll configure the domain name. It's going to be cyber ops 295.com. So we're doing these options. See, network, domain, the DNS, the default gateway. See, these are the things that we're going to configure. We can do show run. So you see that we have the DHCP server in this pool. The only thing that we didn't configure is to exclude some IP addresses. We don't want that the DHCP server to assign the default gateway IP address. We don't want it to assign the IP address that is assigned to the server. Server is going to so we don't want that to happen, right? So we have to execute some IP address. So the way you do it is going to be config D, IP DHCP, question mark. You see that how we exclude that. We're going to exclude IP addresses IP addresses is going to be, we're going to exclude 192.168.30.1 all the way to 192.168.30.249. So what that means? That means the DHCP server will not assign the first 250 IP addresses. The first IP address is going to be assigned is going to be 250, 251, 253, and so on and so forth. So do show run. That shows the router configuration, the DHCP configuration. That's all we need to do. So let's see if we can get IP address from the DHCP server. The first thing we're going to assign is static IP address to the server, because that's the DNS server. Must have a static IP address. 91.92.168.100. The port gateway 158.1. Okay? So the server. Then we're going to assign an IP address for each of these computers. So the way you do it, you click on the computer, go to the desktop, IP configuration, DHCP. And now you see the DHCP server assign an IP address right there. You can go to the command prompt and do IP config. See the IP address. Now you should be able to ping across 192.168.10. Now we can ping from the laptop all the way to the server there. Okay? So we're going to do that for the rest of the computer. So we can go here, click on the computer, go to the network, IP configuration, to the DHCP server. Now we assign an IP address here. So each one of these computers get an IP address from the DHCP server. That's 252. One computer, laptop, DHCP, get an IP address. So we all have IP addresses on this network. So this is the configuration that's going to help you with your learning process and doing the lab and stuff like that. All right, so we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.